Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, we're diving deep into the Las Vegas Raiders, and I wish we had every Raiders doubter here to witness this. All offseason, the talk was loud. Whether it was about Christian Wilkins, one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL, being called an overpay, or people questioning why the Raiders would invest so much in him. Then, there's the chatter about Gardner Minshew coming in for some quarterback competition with Aidan O'Connell. Well, folks, Minshew magic was on full display today as the Raiders took down the Baltimore Ravens 26-23 on the road. And let me remind you, the Ravens are hands down one of the best teams in the league. Here's the wild part. It wasn't even a pretty game. The first half, it was sluggish, too similar to Week 1 against the Chargers. Nothing stood out, nothing exciting. But you know what kept the Raiders in it? The defense. They held strong, giving the offense a chance to come alive in the second half, and boy did they deliver. They put up 20 points in the second half, 13 of them in the fourth quarter alone. Minshew magic is real, and it seems like he's got the Ravens number right now. I wish we could sit here and say, I told you so, because we've been saying all along, this Raiders team is better than people think. But honestly, this win wasn't even that shocking. The real story is how resilient this team is, especially on defense. They're so underrated, so disrespected, and they don't get nearly enough coverage. You've got big names like Max Crosby and now Christian Wilkins, but guys like Robert Spillane are flying under the radar, quietly making a massive impact. This defense is loaded with talent. This win proves that the Raiders' defense is legit. And if they can put up 26 points against a defense as strong as Baltimore's, the sky's the limit. Honestly, if we simulated an entire season where the Raiders scored 25 points every game, they'd probably finish 12-5 at worst. Yeah, you heard that right. 12-5 at worst. Sure, it wasn't the cleanest game, just 27 yards rushing and a 4-for-12 performance on third down, but stats don't always tell the full story. Antonio Pierce and this team? They don't care about numbers. They care about results. All right, Raiders fans, if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe for daily Raiders and NFL content. Let's get this video to 250 likes. Your support means the world. Stay tuned because this season is going to be one for the books. Let's talk about the reality of being an NFL head coach. You've got to care about the stats, at least to some degree, right? I mean, Gardner Minshew, or as I like to call him, Minshew Magic, only had about 65 to 70 passing yards in the first half. But by the end of the game, he went 30 for 38 with 276 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That kind of performance really locked him in as the starting quarterback, at least for now. Now, excuse me for a second, cough. Man, talking about this game has me all choked up. And, a little side note. If you've ever ripped a Zyn, you know the struggle. Anyway, back to football. In the first half, the offense was honestly a mess. The O-line, struggling. They allowed 5 sacks, and it wasn't just Minshew getting hit. The running backs had no room to move either. As a team, the Raiders only managed 27 rushing yards on 17 attempts with a touchdown, averaging a miserable 1.6 yards per carry. That's got to change, and fast. The offensive line needs to step it up if this team wants to stay competitive. Sure, we'll take the win. Every Raiders fan will take this win over Baltimore any day, but when you break it down, there's a lot that needs fixing. The O-line has to be priority number 1. Despite that, Minshew Magic proved himself today. He's definitely quarterback 1 for at least the next month, and I'll admit it, a lot of us, myself included, were hoping Aidan O'Connell would take the reins as the franchise guy, but Gardner showed up in the second half, especially in that critical fourth quarter. Then there's Davante Adams, absolute superstar. 9 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. And let's not forget about Brock Bowers, the steal of the draft. Somehow, this guy slipped to the 13th pick, but we knew all along he was special. NFL legend Greg Olsen even said Bowers should have been a top 5 pick, and now we're seeing why. 9 targets, 9 catches, 98 yards. He's a game changer from day one. Minshew was spreading the ball around too. Zamir White, 3 catches for 14 yards. Jacoby Myers, 4 for 29. Trey Tucker and Amir Abdullah, Both got a couple of grabs, and even Michael Mayer had a catch. The offense was making things happen, even if it wasn't always pretty. But let's take a moment to appreciate the defense. Max Crosby, the anchor of this squad, had 6 tackles and 2 critical sacks. His fourth-quarter sack gave the Raiders a chance to pull off the win. Crosby leads the charge, but it's truly a team effort. Robert Spillane had a standout game. 10 tackles and a massive interception off Lamar Jackson. This guy flies under the radar, but he's been a beast all season. Then there's Divine Diablo, always consistent and reliable, and Christian Wilkins, who is a game changer. The secondary, too, deserves some love. Guys like Jacorian Bennett, Trevon Moehrig, and Marcus Epps, completely underrated, but they're out there making plays and backing up that ferocious defensive line. When you've got Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins coming after the quarterback on every play, it's hard for any offense to get comfortable. When you've got a defensive line like this one, it frees up the entire defense. Linebackers, secondary, everyone. We've been saying it all off-season. On paper, this D-line is a top 5 unit in the NFL, and they're proving it. They'll keep you in every single game. And if Gardner Minshew and this offense can replicate what they did in that second half, especially in that fourth quarter, the Raiders are heading back to the playoffs. No question. I know there are still some ifs and buts, especially when it comes to the offensive line. It's not perfect, and there's work to be done. But you just won a road game against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that's no joke, and you did it with a second-half comeback. I'll take that win every single day of the week. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for daily Raiders and NFL content. And hey, drop your team grade in the comments below. I'm hyped up and can barely talk right now. Let's wrap this up. Peace.